Hey guys, this is Asher. In today's video we're going to talk about how I took a monitor arm stand and converted it into a product review stand. So I basically took this where you have a monitor attached to it and I converted it into this. So let's talk about that in our upcoming video. Hey guys, so I had a dual arm mount stand, so you could attach a monitor right here and then you could attach another monitor on the other side. So I went ahead and modified it a little bit to where I attached all three arms to one side. So we went ahead and got this. So I'll show you in this video how I went ahead and put that together, how I modified it. I'll show you how I use it. It's pretty cool. So this is the setup that I currently have, and it's basically my tripod that is sitting here, and I'm going to go ahead and attach my camera to the tripod since I don't have the arm review setup yet. So this is a dual arm mount stand, and you can see it has two sections on each side which pivot or articulate back and forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to detach one of the sections from one side. But you can see how where the monitor attaches on the end. So that is the point that I am going to remove and I am going to modify it. So this one was a brand off of Amazon, and it's pretty heavy. When I try and move it around, it's pretty solid. So my plan is that I'm going to go ahead and attach this arm mount on the side of the table. That was my initial plan, but when I was doing this video I realized that was not the case. But I'm going to detach these screws from the side and then I am gonna change those around, but you can see where the hinges are, so it's just a matter of taking those screws out, and that'll just give me a much longer arm to work with product reviews. So I think I'm going to put a hole right here on the corner of the desk, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to mount it over there. So let's go ahead and take out our drill, and this is something that I'm going to show you later that's going to show you the sizes, because it's important to look at the sizes of the screws and the adapters. So you can see on the bottom it has a pretty big attachment with the screw and nut assembly where you attach it to the desk, and without a screw holding it on the bottom it would be very, very unstable. So let's go ahead and start detaching the screws, and all you have to do is just have the right attachment and screw that from the arm. And I'm going to remove this section. It comes out pretty easy. The only thing that I had issues with was when I did go ahead and detach it, the bit that I was using to detach it got stuck inside it. But it's pretty easy. You go ahead and rotate it, and you keep rotating it until you get it to one point where it can no longer go, and it just sort of slides out from there. So that was pretty easy to do. It didn't take a lot of work, and it's a pretty simple setup. And I could only attach 3 sections to one side. So the section that I put down, that section I will not be using, and I'll attach the other 3 sections on one side to give it, that longer length where I can work with it. So I'm going to go ahead and detach this section too, but first I need to take this attachment off. And this is one of the things that I basically struggled with is where the bit kept getting stuck, but it's pretty easy to take it out. As long as you have the right size, you shouldn't have the same problem that I had. I probably had a size that was a little too big or a size that was a little too small, but if you give it a little shake, or if you twist it a little bit, it tends to come out. And this first one was in there pretty solid, but I was able to get it out. So now that I have that part with me again, we're gonna go ahead and take out another section so that we can go ahead and put that together. So this time around, I'm going to take out this middle piece here on this side, and it's pretty straightforward. It comes out just like the last one, and I'll go ahead and twist it out just the same way I did like the other one. You sort of close it in on itself and it sort of slides out. So now that I have these two sides, I still want just one side that I can work with. So I'm going to detach the last side here too, so that I only have a one-sided arm. I do not want two-sided arms. So I'm going to go ahead and put the bit in there, and I'm going to detach this side here on the left so that I can use it on the other side. So I'm unscrewing it here just like I did with the other ones. So there's not a lot to it in order to attach it. So this is I was just having a little thing here where I was trying to detach it. It came loose pretty good, and there's not a lot to it. There are no nuts on the other side. It's basically the body itself that keeps the bolt captive. And let's go ahead and take that out. And now that I have taken out that one arm, I have those three sections that I'm going to use on one side, and I'll go ahead and put those together. But yeah, you can see it's it really doesn't take long to put everything together. Okay, so we're just gonna take that off, slide it off, and now I'm gonna just attach those two sections on the other side, and all it is just putting the bolts back in again and screwing them back in. So that just slides in just like that, and it's not a lot of modification, but these arm mounts are meant for monitors that can, that are weighed in at 20-25 pounds, but we don't need that kind of weight when we're doing reviews. So that's why I'm just putting that together. So yeah, if you're going to put a monitor on it, do not do this modification, because this is only supporting such little weight, so it won't make a difference with that. So I'm putting that bolt back in, and I think in hindsight I should have flipped it over, but either way it'll work. It'll get put together, and attach the little bit to it, and I'm gonna screw it back in. And you just want to make sure that the tightness is to a point where you're easily able to move it, but at the same time you want a little bit of flexibility and also a little bit of stiffness to it, so that it doesn't completely go free form. So I'm tightening it a little bit more here so that it's a little bit more sturdy when you're moving it. It doesn't feel really loose. So that's something, it feels much better now that I've tightened it. So now that I have two sections, we're going to go ahead and attach this last section to it. And this is where I was saying that if I had attached it the other way around, it would have made a difference. But it really doesn't matter which section you put on. It still works the same. So now you can see I'm going to slide that in there just like I took it off, and now I'm gonna bolt that in there with another bolt and tighten it up. So I'm putting that in there, and it slides in pretty easy. And once you have all of that attached, the main thing is that it be sturdy and it shouldn't be too loose when you're moving it around, so that it stays in one position when you're making your product reviews. So I have that in there, and what I'm looking at right now is that I'm gonna put the bolt in from the other side, and I'll show it to you. I'll angle the product so that you can see on the side how the bolt goes in and screws in on the side. So you can put in, usually the bolt is in coming in from the top, so I put it in from the bottom, but for the purpose of this video I'll just keep rolling and show you how it comes together. So there it is going in there, and I'm just gonna tighten that up to a point where it's not too tight and it's also not too loose. So I go ahead and tighten that up, and that looks pretty good. Now that I have that in place, the next step would be to drill a hole into the desk and mount that arm before I go ahead and attach the other pieces to it. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm not going to need this part anymore because there's no way for me to attach it because of the way the mounting arm is made. And I just have those left. So I go ahead and mark it on the very side, and then I'm going to go ahead and mark where it goes. And I'm going to make another hole later on. You'll see me do that in the video. And I just take the drill and go straight in. So now that I have my drill right here, I'm just going to attach the battery from the impact to the drill driver. And let's put in the 1/2 inch the cutting tool. I'm not sure exactly what you call that. And I'm going to put it right here on the side. So I'm drilling through. And it was funny, I was drilling through it and it just kept on going and going, and I realized that I hadn't drilled into the center of the desk. I was drilling on the side, so it was actually drilling into the side wall of the desk. But I realized that, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it into position. And on the bottom, I'm going to use that big bolt and that mounting plate to sort of put it in place. This is the same setup you would do with the monitor arm mount itself. To speed up the process, I'm going to attach it with this, and if you were to do it by hand, it would take you a good minute or two to tighten it, but with this impact driver, it's going to take me literally 5 seconds to go ahead and attach it, and I think it's already attached. So now let's just go ahead and attach the arm, the new arm that we've modified and made. That's going to go on top. It's going to slide all the way on top, and we're just going to tighten it to where we would really like it. So I put it on like that, and then you use this little tool to go ahead and tighten it up on the side. And once it's tight, and you don't want to make it too tight, you just want to make it a little bit to where it's nice and snug. But you can go ahead and move it around, and it's going to give you that flexibility. In this video, I am going to go ahead and put in the link to where you can get an adapter to mount that 1/4 inch camera holder or the phone holder. But I'm going to loosen this up a little bit so that it can go up and down more easily. Right now it's a little bit too tight because it is adjusted for monitors. So I want it to be adjusted for my phone, where I can easily move my phone up and down. So this is a newer phone holder, and it comes with a pivoting mount, but the way to attach it would be to attach it right here, but I can't do that without a adapter, and that's the adapter I ordered off of Amazon. And it was a so this is what comes with the iPhone holder or the phone holder, and you can see it's a pivot mount, so you can attach it. This is a 1/4 inch male to a 1/4 inch female, and you can see over this where a 1/4 inch is very close to that of another metric screw thread, but this is a really visual way to see exactly what it is. So if you get a chance, I would recommend you go ahead and buy that off of Amazon. But you can see how it's very close to an M7, M6, M8, but they're not exactly the same pitch as far as the thread is concerned. So that's just, these two come together so you know it's an exact fit. But on the very other side where this thing attaches to the arm mount, that is also a 1/4 inch on the very bottom. And in order to mount that, you'll need an adapter. But you can see I ordered from Amazon these 4 adapters. So they're a 1/4 inch to M5 adapters. The mount for the monitor has an M5 holding adapter, but yeah, you can see one side is thicker and one side is thinner. So the thinner side, which is the M5, goes into the monitor mount stand, and then the thicker side, which is the 1/4 inch, goes into the phone holder. So I'm screwing it in right now. You can see it goes in fairly easily how it goes in. Once it's screwed on, all you need to do is screw the phone holder on, and that's pretty straightforward too. You just rotate it clockwise, and there's a locking mechanism on top, so make sure that locking mechanism is locked, otherwise you'll just keep rotating and it won't lock in place. So you rotate that towards the right in order to lock it, and rotate it towards the left to unlock it. But you can see there where it's in place. The only thing about this setup was the time it takes to screw something on and screw something off. That's the only thing that takes a little bit of time to do. I wish I could have looked into some kind of quick release mechanism to attach it or to detach it. But other than that, it's great. So this is my wife's iPhone that I just grabbed, nice and sparkly. I'm going to go ahead and put this in the phone holder. And you see how I have to screw it on? That's just one of the other things that I don't like about this setup, is where it takes me a little while to screw it on and take it off. But that's basically what it is you just put it on, you adjust the pivoting system, and once you have that adjusted, then you can see what you want to go ahead and do with it. You move it back and forth, and you can also tighten it up with the bolting mechanism that's here on the side. So it's pretty easy to do, to adjust it in place however you want to adjust it. You can see how I can move it back and forth, and there are 3 points of pivoting on this arm, so it gives me a lot more flexibility. So like with this product that I have underneath the mouse, I'm just taking a look at that, how it looks underneath the camera. I'll usually have that in a landscape mode for my videos, but in this case, if it's like a TikTok video or a Snapchat video, it sort of shows you how everything comes into place. So that is a pretty nice setup for product reviews, and I would definitely be using this quite a bit as I go forward. There are some little things in it that I could probably improve over time, but for a starter setup, it is pretty nice. I'll also put the link for the holder that I got in the beginning. And I'll also put the link for all the items that I've used in this video, so that you can look those up and utilize those accordingly. And you can see how easily it moves back and forth. without me having to put in a lot of effort. The other thing is you can even tilt it front and back, which also makes it really good as far as 360 degrees of freedom. And that's one thing that worked out really well with this setup. So this is what I have right now, but I like this one better because you can see here on the side it has a spring loaded mechanism, and I'll show you right here when I push on it. It's really easy. If I take this phone right here and I slip it in, it's really easy to slip in and take out, so it doesn't take a lot of effort. This is a much better setup than having the newer one. So this video I'm actually making on the product review stand itself that I just put in place. So it's pretty good. If I want to zoom in or do something, it's actually, it gives me quite a bit of leverage to do what I want. But there you go, I made my first review video. So the other thing that I wanted to look at was, can the product support my camera? And I'm pretty sure it can, because it can support a monitor. But since I modified it to where it has 3 arms instead of 2 arms supporting 2 sections supporting a monitor, it has 3 sections, so it's a little bit different. So let's take a look at it. It's pretty easy to move. You can move it around on this swivel, and you can change it however you want it to. You can move it around. The only thing that you cannot do is, if you want to move it up and down, you would use this setup right here to move it up and down. The other thing that you can do is you can even attach a camera to it. So basically anything that has this mounting option on the bottom, you can just go ahead and unscrew this from the top and you can screw this onto it. Or if you have a webcam and you want to screw that onto it, you can also do that very similarly. So overall, I think it's a pretty good setup for me to review products and stuff. But if I did make some changes to it, what I would do is I would get the version that has the bigger mount where you can go higher up. And other than that, I think it's a pretty good and solid setup compared to all the other product arms out there. So guys, if you like this video, please go ahead and subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. Thank you.